2023 meeting of the Council of City of Springdale. I would ask that you rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. McNear, you do roll call.
Mr. Anderson?
Present.
Mrs. Gantos? Mr. Hawkins?
Present.
Mr. Jacobs?
Present.
Mr. Ramirez?
Present.
Mrs. Sullivan Weiscup? Mr. Vanover?
Present. Ms. Weiskup advised me actually a couple weeks ago that she would not be here this evening. She is recovering from surgery, so we wish her the best and a speedy recovery. Council, before we get into the minutes, you will find before you ordinance number 39, 2023. This is the ordinance to get the ball rolling on that fire truck. So I'd like to add it to the agenda. I need a motion to add. Mr. Hawkins?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to add to the agenda ordinance number 39, 2023.
Motion second. Any further discussion? All right, Ms. McNeil, you poll council on the addition of ordinance 39, 2023.
Mr. Hawkins?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. Gantos? Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Mr. Ramirez?
Aye.
Mr. Vanover?
Aye. All right, ordinance 39, 2023 is added to the agenda. We'll do it at 8A where we normally do our ordinances. Okay, with that, we have our minutes this evening from our September 23rd, 2023 meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. All right, all those approving the minutes as published signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The minutes are approved with 6 affirmative votes. Mr. Jones, you want to lead in on the Metro?
Well, that's a good lead-in. So, thank you, Mr. President. We actually have a presentation. I think you're anticipating this. We've announced this a couple of different times. So we'll actually turn it over to the folks there, and you might want to add, too, that you have your vehicle out there in case somebody wants to see it.
My name is Troy Miller. I'm a Government Relations Liaison for Cincinnati Metro. First, I want to say thank you to Hamilton County because of the tax that we passed. This is a type of service we're putting on the streets now to help the communities. So this has been a award-winning thing for the whole county. So there's a lot of great things going. Tonight, Amy Randall is going to come in and give the presentation about Metro Now and how the service and now it's doing in this zone here. It's a great service. I got bags, swag bags we call them. Grab a bag before you leave. You got a stress bus in there, if you guys get stressed. But I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Thank you, Troy. Good evening, everyone. And thank you for having us out tonight to talk about the new Metro Now service. My name is Emmy Randall. I'm Senior Manager of Transit Planning and Mobility on Demand. So I've been charged with assisting with rolling out of these zones and with monitoring the pilot. These are our pilot zones that we've launched and helping inform the launch of the next zones that we do plan to launch. I want to go through a little bit about the program with you and explain the service, and then just open it up for any questions that you might have regarding the service. So Metro Now is a new, innovative on-demand service that we're providing in specific areas within Hamilton County. We're utilizing smaller vehicles and providing this service within designated zones in suburban parts of the county. We did launch the Springdale-Sharonville zone, which is shown on the slide here, Zone E on the map in blue. That zone was launched in May of this year. And then we launched Zone C, which is shown in orange on the map there, the Northgate Mountain Healthy Zone, in July. So the trips must start and end within these designated zones for this service. So it's really intended to provide access to, for shorter trips, daily needs, things like shopping, healthcare, jobs, schools, those types of trips. And we do plan to launch 4 additional zones that are shown here on the map within the next year to year and a half based on availability of vehicles and availability of drivers. Here's what the vans look like. We do have one parked outside tonight, so hopefully you saw that coming in, and we'll have it here for a little while longer if you want to take a look at that later tonight. But each van can accommodate 8 people plus 2 wheelchairs. All of the vans are wheelchair accessible, and they have ramps that deploy right outside the door. And then we also have space for 4 child seats within the seating arrangements, but you must bring your own child seat. I also want to note that with each paying adult passenger, children under 37 inches can ride free up to 2 children with each paying passenger. So that's another great benefit of the service. It's really easy to book a ride. You can do this on your phone with an application that you download, very similar to like an Uber or a Lyft type service. Or you can call and use the telephone, and our dispatch will arrange that ride for you and provide you with the ride information. Fares are just $2 each way, so whether you're going from one far corner to the other far corner of the zone, or you're just going, half a mile down the street, it's just $2 each way. Right now, we're operating the service on weekdays from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., and then on the weekends, the service operates from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Major holidays will operate on that weekend service. And again, this is something that we're monitoring as a part of the pilot. The service hours could change, or the zone boundaries could change based on what we learn as we continue to roll this out. This slide shows kind of what that app looks like when you download it. You can download the Metro Now app on the Apple App Store or on the Play Store if you have an Android device. Just follow the instructions to set up an account. It's pretty simple. And then once you're on the application, it uses the GPS, so the app knows where you are. You just enter where you want to go into that app, and it will provide you with a ride option. It will say, the van can pick you up in 10 to 15 minutes, for example, or the van can pick you up in 20 to 25 minutes. So it'll give you a window within which your ride would arrive. And then the app will send you notifications. If you choose book ride, when you get that ride option, the app will give you notifications to let you know the vehicle's coming soon, the vehicle has arrived. So again, it's pretty simple to do. You would follow that process to get to your destination, and then if you want to book a reverse ride to go home, for example, you would follow that same process. If you prefer to use the phone, you can call our dispatch number, 551-5555, and then our dispatch will set that ride up for you and give you your estimated arrival time for the van to arrive. You can use cash, so you can pay that $2 cash fare, or you can use Easy Fare to purchase a Metro Now ticket and scan it on your phone, just like you would for our fixed route service where we offer Easy Fare ticketing. This is a map showing the Springdale-Sharonville zone. Areas within the zone include the Woodlawn Kroger, the Goodwill site. The Tri-County Mall is also in the zone, as well as Springdale Target. And then some areas off of Kemper Road, some of the industrial areas there in that northeast corner. This slide shows how the ridership has grown within the zone since we launched it back in May. The highest ridership day that we've had for the Springdale-Sharonville zone was on September 7th, and that was 67 rides in one day. The month of September, we had a little bit over 1,000 rides, 1,123 rides, and we're averaging about 47 rides per day for weekdays. On the weekend, our ridership is a little bit lower, about 28 rides per day on the weekend. So we are continuing to see this ridership grow, and we're looking for opportunities to get out in the community and promote the service and continue to build on this ridership. We would like to see this ridership double again in the next few months. This is a heat map of where we're seeing the rides. The most popular destinations and origins for those trips. As you might expect, the Woodlawn Kroger is at the top of the list. Bob Evans is a huge ride generator. We may have some employees that are using that service to get to work, which is great. Sam's Club is a big one, Princeton High School, the BMV station, as well as the Meadows at Maple Knoll, which is the senior living community. So this is great. We're seeing each month this list changes a little bit, but for the most part, those larger commercial areas are at the top of the list. This slide, I apologize, it's a little bit rough to read. So this is the distribution of rides across the daytime. So on the left-hand side, this is the weekdays of service, and the far left is the first hour of service, so 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. And then the last bar is that last hour of service, 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. So you can kind of tell here where we've got some peak ridership in the AM and then some peak ridership between 4 and 6 p.m., indicating that people are often taking two trips. They're going somewhere early in the day, and they're coming back later in the day. So this is just information that we're continuing to monitor, and we'll be using this information to inform if we're going to make any changes to those service hours. The right-hand side of the slide is the same data, but for weekends. We are seeing a lot of later in the day trips on the weekends, so we will be looking at whether or not we want to expand the service later into the evening as we gather more data. All right, and this slide shows the ridership for both of the zones that we've launched. The bars in green are the Springdale-Sharonville zone, and the bars in blue is the Northgate Mountain Healthy zone. So as you can see, in August and September, the Northgate zone has climbed above ridership from Springdale. We actually did anticipate that that zone would generate more ridership, so it's not surprising, but we do want to make sure that the Springdale-Sharonville zone continues to grow in ridership. And then I also want, so a little over 3,000 rides total between both zones for the month of September, so that's great. And then the on-time performance, we're running at about 97% on-time performance for this service. So we're really excited about that. And what that means is when you get your ride proposal and it says the van would arrive in 10 to 15 minutes, 97% of the time it's falling within that time frame that it gives you for that ride proposal. So it is very reliable, and you can expect to get where you want to go within that time frame that it gives you. Okay. This slide shows ridership across the days of the week. Again, kind of midweek are the biggest days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are all high ridership days for us, and then the ridership falls off on the weekend. Again, the green bars indicate the Springdale zone, and the blue bars indicate the Northgate zone. That concludes the data that I have to share. I am happy to take any questions that you might have about the zone, any feedback that you're getting from community members, and thank you for having us here to provide the information to you.
Okay, we've got a few questions, comments. Ms. McNear?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have used the service. I actually used it to come up here to a meeting so I could explain to everybody that I used it and what my experience was. It was very easy. I do have an Android phone. I'm not highly technical on it. It was easy to download the app. It was very easy to book the trip. I used cash. It did tell me every minute the bus will be here in 9 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes. Very, very simple. It picked me up at the end of my driveway. It was very, very easy. Then when I got on the bus, they said, well, where exactly do you want us to drop you? I said, at the end of the driveway. So it was very easy. The bus was clean, smelled like a brand new vehicle. It was air conditioned. The driver was very, very nice. I told her what I was doing. I said, this is a test so I can tell the public how this experience went. And she said, oh, here's a bunch of pamphlets. Pass them out when you get up to the building, which I did. So it was a very good experience.
Great.
So, and it was like I said, very easy. If I can use it, everyone can use it. Now, the 8 o'clock timeframe, you know, I had to hitch a ride home, so couldn't use it on the return trip. So perhaps you'll look at, you know, extending the time frame a little bit in the evenings. I can see where people would probably like to have a later time frame if they're going out to dinner. You know, 8 o'clock may not be late enough, but, you know, I used it another time on a Saturday. That time frame was fine because it was an afternoon event that I was going to, so. But, you know, if I can use this event, you know, I've never used a Lyft service, so I have never had to download anything like that, but very easy to use the application. Thank you.
Good, thanks.
Mr. Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. President. Like Ms. McNair, I've had very positive reactions to the service being in Springdale. I think it's wonderful that you chose us as a starting point. I hope the ridership goes up as people start to see it as an option. The more times people see the vans, I keep getting questions like, what is that? And I'm able to help evangelize that. All the feedback's been positive. The only question or comments I've gotten back or questions are always like, can it move one street further out? Like, not all of Springdale is actually in the Springdale zone. It depends on the zip code you're in, just like the Beacon Hills neighborhood is just out, so people would have to walk like to Ken Road to get in, and there, I was like, it's a block, you'll be okay, but they always wanted a little bit further.
Yeah.
Like in Sharonville, my mom wants to ride it, and she wants to be able to get to church, which is like 1 block further than the main street. It's like, well, you get pretty close though, so it's great. We love the service. The one question I have is with the $2 fare, does that include a transfer for people who might want to go further or switch to a main line, or do they pay a separate fare?
It does not currently, but that is one of the things that we are evaluating. Actually, this week, we're conducting a survey of riders who have ridden at least 5 times on the service. We're
Okay.
calling them to ask them about their, you know, their experience, and that is one of the questions that we're asking is if they're transferring to our fixed route service, and if they would, you know, if we had a package that included transfers, looking at the fare options as well.
Yeah, that's great. No, that first mile, last mile is always a challenge, so I
Yeah.
appreciate you trying to solve that. And I love the buses that they include handicap accessible and children's options. Those are wonderful. That's very forward thinking, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mr. Hawkins?
Thank you, Mr. President. Metro Now is a great transportation opportunity. Again, very thankful that you included Springdale in your initial rollout. You addressed a little bit, and Ms. McNair had said it too. The one thing that I would ask for is more consideration for a little bit more time on the back end of that.
Okay.
I know we were going to use it for a birthday party, trying to move a bunch of teenagers around, but the time frame didn't
Sure.
work in terms of getting back. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing that I would ask for some more
Okay.
consideration on, but it's a great service. Thank you.
Sure.
I think you've answered the questions.
I'd like to say
Sure.
one thing. I mean, we worked with the city administrator's office, Mr. Jones here. One of the things we're putting out is a flyer. It's actually in Spanish also, so to try to get all the community. We have a couple samples out on the table, but we'll be having flyers coming out right now, so.
Yeah, we plan to hit some of the areas of the community where we know you have Hispanic populations to make sure they're aware of the service.
Great.
And thank you to Mr. Jones for helping us coordinate on that. Yeah.
Mayor Webster?
Yeah, I think this is the best thing since sliced bread to hit Springdale. My wife and I were out driving around the city on Saturday. We must have seen 6 or 8 of those buses. It seemed like every place, every street we went down, there was another one, there's another one, there's another one. So I guess my question to you right now is, have we met your expectations? Are we close? Or we have exceeded them?
We would like to see more riders.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you
Yes,
would.
Yes, we have not quite gotten to what we want to see in terms of demand for this particular zone. So that's why we want to get out and promote it more, make sure everybody in the community knows it's available, give it a try. So yes, we do want to grow the ridership.
Okay, well, to the people of Springdale, let's not let this slip through our fingers. It's a golden opportunity and something that, everybody can take advantage of, and it's a great service. I had some other comments I want to make about the SORTA. If you guys are finished with your presentation?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So what was the millage that's funded this operation? Was it a quarter or half a mil? Do you remember?
I believe it's 0.8%
0.8%?
on the sales, is that correct?
Yeah, the sales tax is 0.8%.
Okay.
25% of that goes to the roads of Hamilton County. The other 75% goes to the transit. So,
Okay.
roughly about $40 million right now is going to the roads projects in different parts of Hamilton County.
Okay. I was one of the earlier supporters. As soon as that was announced, I jumped all over that and said, well, it's about time that the county communities start contributing something to the transit system. So at least that gives us a seat at the table to demand some service. And I think on your end of it, it's all of a sudden now we're paying customers. Before, we were free riders. And so anyway, that's why I wanted to see us realize a service like we have today. But then, before the election, you folks announced that there was a transportation component to this thing. And that really put me over the top. I said, man, we got to pass this thing. There's just we got to pass this thing. And so, just to give you an example, we got notification yesterday that we are going to receive $2 million in a grant for Northern Boulevard from SORTA. $2 million. Now, this is an $8.6 million project. With our $2 million, I think right now that puts us up to about $7.5 million for the grants. So we're within $1 million of having that Northern Boulevard, which is one of the largest road projects probably in the history of this city. Excuse me, at $8.6 million. And so right now, if we bid the project today, we'd be on the hook for about $1 million of it, which is pocket change when you look at $8.6 million. And the good news is we've still got some requests outstanding that we haven't heard back from. And so we're hoping to close that $1 million gap. So I think the future looks bright for Northern Boulevard. And thanks to SORTA, great job. Like I said, best thanks to sliced bread.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you, guys.
congratulations on your grant.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, while we're still in presentations, we have some firemen that are patiently waiting. So, Mr. Jones?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think at this time we'll bring up our fire chief and Anthony Stanley, and we'll kind of turn things over to you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President, council, elected officials, city administration. We're always grateful for the opportunity to come here and introduce new individuals that have joined our wonderful fire department that we have. We're going in a great direction. We have a very young department right now, a lot of young officers, a lot of young firefighters. We're doing a lot of training and just getting everybody up to speed and just trying to continue to push the bar and raise that bar and just push our department forward and make it the best department that we can make it. So we had our senior captain. He decided to leave. He took a job with another fire department, which left a huge hole in our fire department. I mean, he was by far the most senior officer, line officer that we had. We made the decision to open the promotional process up to fill that vacancy to the outside. So we had 2 of our 3 lieutenants internally applied for that fire captain's position. 2 very capable individuals. They're doing a great job for us in the lieutenant's role. They're both, very bright stars in the fire department. So we were happy that they threw their name in a hat and entered into the process. And then we got several external candidates that we narrowed down to 2. Went through an extensive assessment center by an outside agency comprised of neighboring fire chiefs. So it was no internal evaluation. It was all external evaluators. After that, we had 2 interviews, which all 4 candidates participated in that. And our internal candidates, they did really well. We're very proud of the job that they did, especially being 2 newly promoted lieutenants. So we were very pleased with how they did. However, we decided to select Captain Tom Jackson. I'll go ahead and bring him up. Come on up. So Tom Jackson has a lot of experience. First of all, he grew up in Reading, so he's a local kid, not local to Springdale, but a pretty local kid. Graduated from Reading High School. He went on to earn an associate's degree in fire service leadership, a bachelor's degree in fire service management, and a master's of organizational leadership. He continued his education and was a graduate of Ohio Fire Executive Program that is taught through the Ohio Fire Chiefs Association. He has 21 years in the fire service, so he has a lot of experience. So we didn't get a green guy. He came from a neighboring department. He came from Forest Park Fire Department. Forest Park Fire Department. And he was there for a long time. He has 2 years as a lieutenant. The last 14, he's been a fire captain. So he comes to us with a wealth of knowledge and experience, not only inside the firehouse, but on emergency scenes. I've personally known him pretty much his whole career, and just remember him when he was just an ambitious firefighter, trying to find his way, and you quickly could see that he was going to be something special. He went on to become a great fire officer. He has a very good reputation around the county. We work with him a lot. Our assistant chief, Scott Williams, he was our Unit 1 captain, so they would interact on runs a lot, when we would have, mutual aid come here, or we would go to Forest Park to assist, and, it just always has impressed us with the job that he's done, and his main goal is always to keep his people safe. So that came out in his interview, but he shows it every day in his actions and the approach that he takes to, when he comes to work every day. So he has a wonderful family. He's married, has 2 sons. He's very proud of his family. Talks about them all the time. He enjoys spending time with them in his off time, and going to their sporting events and playing with his dogs. He loves his dog. He talks about his dogs a lot too. So, but he's done a great job for us. He's hit the ground running. It is not an easy transition, especially as an external candidate to come in a supervisory position. But our department just welcomed him with open arms. Even the candidates that weren't successful have been doing a great job assisting him, just getting acclimated to just the way that we do it. He knows how to be a fire officer, but we're trying to teach him just some of the institutional knowledge that we have about Springdale. Assistant Chief Williams, he designed a 2-week training program for him. So for 2 weeks, he was on 40 hours. He wasn't on shift work. And he came in and worked side by side with Chief Williams, and he did a great job, training him, and just had the foresight of all the boxes that he felt like he needed to check just to be ready to, to function. And Captain Jackson did a great job just asking questions, taking notes. So he has a whole notebook to reference from that training, which is amazing. So. Like I said, we had 2 shining internal stars, but we just could not pass upon the opportunity to bring this much knowledge and experience into our fire department. So he's raising that bar. I mean, he's going to make me a better chief, and he's going to make all of our officers better, all of our firefighters better, and we are absolutely thrilled to have him. So I introduce to you Thomas Jackson, our newest fire captain. Also, he is in charge of training. He is our training captain. So he is a lot of work to do.
Thank you for the support from the city. Chief mentioned it earlier, but the other 2 guys are in the process. As soon as it was announced that I was getting it, the day actually we announced that I was getting it, Lieutenant Hanson was the first one to reach out to me, congratulate me. He's helped me out a lot, so I don't think it would have been as easy for me to come over if I didn't have the support from him. He was kind of put in a weird position, so I think it should be recognized that the effort that he put into when it could have very easily went a different way. To the city in general, thank you for accepting me. Thank you for giving me the chance, and then to both the chiefs. Really hard, leaving a place for 20 years to pretty much start over, and these 2 have above and beyond what I thought could happen. So to the crews, they've been accepting me pretty well. I feel like I'm further ahead than I would have been if I didn't have their support. And then to my wife, she dealt with a lot of it, just the stress going through it, things like that. So she's been really supportive. So thank you. I love you too. And then my boys, thank you guys for coming. So, and I do talk about my dogs a lot. So, but thank you, I appreciate it. So.
So just in closing, I just want to thank you all again for the support that you give for the fire department. I mean, we have a tough job at times. a very dangerous job at times, and it's comforting to know that we have the support of all of you. You give us the tools and the resources and the support, the manpower, everything that we need to go out and provide a good service for all of you and for the rest of the citizens and the business owners and patrons of Springdale. So we just like to thank you for everything that you do for the fire department. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mayor Webster?
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, it's always tough when you go outside and you bring in somebody and put them in charge, a person of authority. In this particular case, it's really tough because this is this young man here is coming from the outside, and he has about a third of our fire department under his management and supervision. One of our three cabinet captains, and I don't know how many months he's been with us.
A few months.
But anyway, in talking to various firemen over there, I've yet to hear one person voice any resentment of the fact that we went outside and we brought somebody in and put him in a position of authority. And I think that says wonders for the job that he's doing over there and the attitude that he's displaying. So, welcome to Springdale. Hope you have a long career with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Communications. Ms. McNair, are there any communications this evening?
Thank you, Mr. President. We did receive an email from a resident as a follow-up to the council, was addressed to council, myself, and to the mayor. A response was sent to him by 3 members of council. If anyone wants additional details, it would be on record in my office. And that's all we had for this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this point, we'll move to communications from the audience. Before we get started, I will ask that those not speaking respect those that are. We will not tolerate heckling or interruption. So with that, is there anybody in the audience like to address council for any reason?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mick Higgins, I am no longer a resident of Springdale, so I would have to ask the president for permission to speak.
You have it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to come in today and tell a story. From about 3.5 years ago, my son was going up for Eagle Scout, and part of the process is you have to have an Eagle Scout board of review. And that board is made up of 3 members of the scouting community and 4 members of the community that you respect. And Stephen selected a couple of his teachers, and I asked Mayor Webster to sit on the board. And he graciously did so. And he had the opportunity, he pulled me aside and said, you know, kind of, why are you asking me to do this? And the reason behind it is, you know, although we may have had a disagreement once or twice, 98% of the time, and the decisions that he made were the right decisions for the city. He has definitely led the city through some very tough economic times, where we'd see other local areas shuttering services and stuff. Springdale just kept on an even sail. And I know that there were tough decisions and planning made to make that happen, and I acknowledge that it was his leadership that did that. And although we have kind of had some disagreements very publicly, that private conversation was not made public until today. And I wanted to come in here and say that, you know, I do acknowledge you have done a tremendous job for the city of Springdale. And at times it's very tough. Yeah, I've heard discussions about sidewalks. I've heard, you know, the discussions about, you know, everything else taking place. And some people are not happy when they leave here. But regardless, the one thing I could say is that the mayor listened to me. He listened to everybody else that got up here to speak and definitely gave you your time and your voice. So I know that, and I am 52 years old. I won't say how long you've been, my entire life you've dedicated to public service. And, you know, when it's impossible to make everybody happy but continue to want to do this, it takes a special individual. So I'm sure other people have come up here before, but I wanted to come up here publicly and thank you for your service to the city. Thank you for everything that you have done, and wish you a lot of fun and everything else that comes next, because, you know, it's got to be a little less stressful than running this city. But Mr. Mayor, thank you for a tremendous job, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Mick, thank you very much. Your comments are very special, and I really appreciate those. Like you said, we haven't, over the years, always seen eye to eye. And as a matter of fact, I think you stood in the will of the council there one night and said, we're going to recall you, Mayor Webster. And so anyway, we kissed and made up, so to speak. But anyway, Mick, thank you very much for your comments. I really appreciate them. They mean a lot to me.
Thank you.
All right, still open to communications from the audience. Second call. Third and final call, we'll close communications from the audience. At this point, we'll move into our ordinances to resolutions, and first off this evening is ordinance number 39, 2023. Ms. McNear, when you're ready.
Ordinance number 39, 2023, an ordinance accepting proposal through Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing and authorizing the mayor and clerk of council finance director to enter into an agreement with Vocapol Fire Equipment in the amount of $1,860,560 for the purchase of a 2026 E1 aerial platform Quint and declaring an emergency. Whereas Sourcewell is a cooperative purchasing entity available for use by all government and educational agencies in the United States, and whereas Sourcewell has advertised and received bids for the purchase of emergency vehicles, fire trucks, and equipment, and whereas the city wishes to purchase a new aerial platform Quint for use by the fire department, and whereas Vogapool Fire Equipment was the lowest and best bidder for the purchase of an 2026 E1 aerial platform Quint with a total bid of $1,860,560. Now therefore, be it ordained by the council of the city of Springdale, Ohio, members elected thereto concurring. Section 1, that the city of Springdale accepts Sourcewell's specifications for a new aerial platform Quint and agrees that Vogapool Fire Equipment is the lowest and best bidder for the purchase of a 2026 E1 aerial platform Quint for the city in the amount of $1,860,560. Section 2, that the mayor and clerk of council finance director are hereby authorized to enter into an agreement with Vogapool Fire Equipment for the purchase of a 2026 E1 aerial platform Quint. Section 3, that the clerk of council finance director is hereby authorized to pay Vogapool Fire Equipment the sum of $1,860,560 for the purchase of a 2026 E1 aerial platform Quint. Section 4, council hereby finds and determines that all formal actions relative to the passage of this legislation were taken in an open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council and of its committees, if any, which resulted in formal action were taken in meetings open to the public in full compliance with applicable legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 5, that this ordinance shall be an emergency measure necessary for the preservation of the public peace, health, safety, and general welfare, and shall, subject to the terms of Article 2D, 3D of the Charter, be effective immediately. The reason for said emergency is the immediate need to enable the city to execute the agreement as soon as possible prior to the expiration of the bid.
All right, council, for the reading of ordinance 39, 2023, it does include an emergency clause. What is your pleasure?
Move to adopt. Second.
Motion second, discussion. Mr. Hawkins?
Thank you, Mr. President. We had this discussion the last meeting, and just for those that weren't present or those that didn't see that meeting, these ladder trucks or towers are extremely helpful for our firefighters in terms of managing fires, not just for getting up to certain levels, but also having an angle in which you can attack the fires from above. We had a presentation from, Finance Committee had a presentation from the chief and assistant chief going through that. I can tell you that from over the years being on finance and talking about towers or ladder trucks going back to, I think, 9 to 10 years ago, this price has doubled. So the price for this vehicle is going to continue to increase. It increases on an annual or biannual basis routinely. And so we turn around and blink, and it'll be over $2 million quickly. So it's an opportunity to take care of our first responders who are taking care of us, and so I'm in support of this. Thank you.
Mr. Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't feel under any duress with the entire fire department here watching us when I say I fully support all the equipment you guys need to keep us safe. Do I remember correctly that the expected life of this truck is something like 20 years or 30 years of service? So this is a major purchase, but the lifespan of it is extensive because we keep maintaining it. Is that right? Okay, thank you.
Well, our current vehicle is 23 years old, served us well, but we've reached the point that we're having to hand make replacement parts. The company that built it is no longer in existence today. So, and we do this tonight, we're still 3 years out before we see that piece of equipment. So, you know, it's Christmas in October to some degree, but it's long needed. Mr. Hawkins?
And along those lines, we don't have to pay for it
Right.
until then as well.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Jones?
Just wanted to say how much I appreciate not only the leadership by Assistant Chief Williams, but the staff that's worked diligently on making sure this is spec'd out to every single thing that we're going to need moving forward. They did not put things in there they did not need. It's not that. What I'm excited about, they have the tools and equipment that's going to allow them to do their job to the best of their abilities. And something like this is the way they take care of things. We're looking at another 25 years for this particular apparatus. But again, Mr. Williams, I know you don't want to take credit for that, but I'm clearly aware that you spearheaded that, and we're very grateful for your efforts.
Mr. Ramirez?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to echo that, Mr. Jones. Mr. Hawkins and I sat through the presentation by the Assistant Chief and Chief. Very detailed, great presentation by the two, and I want everybody to know that it wasn't like, hey, we need another fire truck, let's go buy one. So they were very detailed, built it out just as we need it, and we rely on them to give us the information, and they did a great job of it, and I can't wait to get the new truck. Thank you.
Well, and along those lines, this process has been going on for 2 years. So it's not a quick pull the trigger thing. So, well timed well, and we definitely need to get this moving. I don't see any more lights. Ms. McNair, will you poll council?
Mr. Hawkins?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mrs. Gantos? Mr. Ramirez?
Aye.
Mr. Vanover?
Aye. Ordinance 39, 2023 passes with 6 affirmative votes.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mayor
I'd just like to say a few words to all the firemen we have out here. It's nice to see you guys come out and support your new captain. And I'm sure you all stuck around to make sure that we did our job and passed this. I just want to put you on notice. You come over anytime you want, but you're not every time you're going to walk at that door with a $2 million toy, okay? Be safe out there.
Yeah, yes. All right, Ms. McNair, when you're ready, Resolution R14, 2023.
Resolution number R14, 2023, resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. The Council of the City of Springdale, Hamilton County, Ohio, met in council session on the 4th day of October, 2023, at the office of 11700 Springfield Pike, Springdale, Ohio, 45246, with all 6 members present. And we move the adoption of the following resolution. Whereas this council, in accordance with the provisions of law, have previously adopted a tax budget for the next succeeding fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2024. And whereas the Budget Commission of Hamilton County, Ohio, has certified its action thereon to this council, together with an estimate by the county auditor of the rate of each tax necessary to be levied by this council, and what part thereof is without, and what part within the 10 mil limitation. Therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Springdale, Hamilton County, Ohio, the amounts the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission in its certification be and the same are hereby accepted, and be it further resolved that there be and is hereby levied on the tax duplicate of said city the rate of each tax necessary to be levied within and without the 10 mil limitation as follows. $1,243,605 million, and that is at a rate of 3.08%, which is the same amount that we've had in perpetuity for many, many, many years. We've not had a change in that for, I believe it's about 30 years.
All right, Council, for the reading of Resolution R14, 2023, what is your pleasure?
Second.
Motion second, discussion? I don't see any lights. Ms. McNear, poll council.
Mrs. Gantos? Aye. Mr. Hawkins?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Mr. Ramirez?
Aye.
Mr. Vanover?
Aye. Resolution R14, 2023 passes with 6 affirmative votes. Ms. Gantos?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we go into executive session pursuant to Article 2D1 of the Charter of the City of Springdale to consider economic development matters.
There we go. Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, motion second, discussion? Administration, we anticipate any action coming out of this? Okay. Ms. McNear, poll council on going to executive session.
Mrs. Gantos? Aye. Mr. Hawkins?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Mr. Ramirez?
Aye.
Mr. Vanover?
Aye. Council will retire for executive session, and we will return shortly. session. At this point in the agenda, we're in old business. Is there any old business bring before council this evening? New business? Meetings and announcements. All right, at this point, we'll move back to the floor for communications from the audience.
Hello, good evening. My name is Carmen Daniels. I stay at 12095 Chesterdale Road in the Heritage Hillside. On September the 21st, around 3:55, I reached out to Mr. Andy House, the building inspector, to get an understanding of a letter I had received regarding ordinance 153-252 F4K. It dealt with outside storage. He mentioned that I had a chair that was considered a home occupation item. I explained to him that I have a 96-year-old father-in-law, and we use it when he visits because it's comfortable for him. He said that it was being stored on the table. I said the reason it was on the table because the gentleman that mows my lawn placed it on the table so he can mow the grass. I wanted to speak to his supervisor because I was concerned why would I get a notice for something like that. He told me that the gentleman was busy. I told him I wanted to escalate the call to someone else, and I asked to be transferred to the mayor. Around 4:12, I left a message for Doyle Webster on his city voicemail. He immediately called me back on my cell phone. I explained to him the situation and asked who else I could speak to. He said that he couldn't help me but to contact the manager on Tuesday since he was on vacation. And I told him Mr. House never mentioned that, he just said he was too busy. He then went on to say there were several complaints on my red car. I said the car has plates, tags, and insurance on it. The only thing needed is air in the tires, and my husband plans to put some in it. I said it was due to us having several cars and it isn't driven much. Out of nowhere, he then went on to say that I drew the line when I refused to put his campaign sign in my yard back in 2019. I told him that I was a Democratic precinct exec for my area, and I did not think it was a good idea to do that. He then went, even though we are a nonpartisan community, he told me he was not going to help me because he is a Republican and I am a Democrat. I told him you were chosen as the mayor of the city of Springdale and you are to represent all of us. He went on to say that he put me on the recreation and the BZA where I got paid. I told him nothing was given to me. I attended the meetings and participated in the decision-making on both boards. I even served with some of you all, and I was the secretary on the BZA, and I earned whatever I received. In the background, I heard his wife. I told him to put her on the phone because several months ago, I had made a comment on Facebook about how shameful it was for some of the ranting that was going on, either belittling Mr. Anderson or some of the residents that come before you all and speak. And I said it was a shame to watch how the mayor treated people. I even before that, I have been, a racist comment has been made from the daughter when I lost the election to Mr. Vanover, where she said, "Bye, Felicia." I've called several of you, and I thought that his ranting should have been stopped. The response I got from Mr. Tom Vanover was that he was being poked. So I guess that was giving him the okay to do whatever he did, belittling the residents and his fellow council people. I also told him to put his wife on the phone because I had a message for her. I said, as the first lady of the city and as a candidate for council, the way she acts is unacceptable. I hope and pray that the residents take a good look at the candidates running to represent us and choose those that can show empathy and compassion for others. I have received many calls about the direction our city has taken, and not a lot of them have been favorable. I recall when I came before you all several years ago asking why I was being replaced on the BZA. The mayor had a valid point when he said that the city was going in a different direction. The direction it has taken has not been a very good one for those of us that live here when it comes to voicing our concerns. I grew up in a small village, the village of Lincoln Heights, where our motto is, you can't serve the people if you don't love the people. And I don't see that love I don't see that love shown for some of you all when it comes to our residents. So I'm asking the people, please vote for someone that has integrity and someone that will respect our voice. Thank you.
Mr. Jacobs?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a very specific question because the thing I would like to find out is, can we resolve issues, even though it's a small one? Is there awareness on whether the issue was that the chair was on the table or that the chair is outside? And the reason I ask, I've spoken to residents who might be dinged for parking in their lawn, for example. Just from this seat, I'd like to see us enforce that when it's repeat offenders, whenever possible. If it was put on the chair, or if it was put on the table once for cutting the grass, if it's up to me, I'd like to see enforcement somewhere else. Do you have knowledge whether the issue is the chair is in the yard or whether it's on the table?
Well, he said because it was on the table, and I told him, we currently stay with my father, he's 96, so we weren't even home. I didn't know he put it on the table, but he put it there so he can finish cutting the grass. Normally, it's in the grass, because it's a chair that he likes to sit in.
And do we know if it's a violation if it's in the grass?
No, I don't know that.
Okay.
But Mr. Jacobs, your biggest concern about is the chair on a table.
No, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt. I preface my comments, it's a micro-specific thing, and I'm seeking a solution to the problem on the one area that I could ask a question about. I can't address all the complaints she's levied at the city, and I don't intend to. And I'm sorry I interrupted.
I think
But
Mrs.
Mr.
Daniels
Jacob,
has
that was
crossed
the
the
reason
line.
why, Mr. Jacob, that was the reason why I was concerned, because I'm like, as much as I see in our city, you're gonna ding me because a chair is on the table? And then when I asked to speak to a supervisor, he just said he was busy. I was like, okay, too busy to talk to a resident? So I did have a concern about that, which is why I asked for the call to be escalated.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Webster?
My concern about the comments Mrs. Daniels just made here, I think she crossed the line. She stands here before council campaigning for and against a candidate. I don't think in the history of this city we've ever had somebody openly campaign on the floor of council for or against a candidate. And I think that's deplorable. Mrs. Daniels, I take it you're not very happy with the building department today, is that right?
No, I'm very happy with the building department because I spoke to the supervisor and he explained in more details. But I did not campaign. I said vote for someone who can show empathy. I didn't say to vote yes or no for your wife. So if the shoe fit, then wear it.
Are you or are you not happy with the building department?
I am pleased with the response I got from the building department,
Okay.
Mr. Webster.
Well,
Not
I'm
from
glad
you.
I'm glad you're
Not
happy
from
with
you,
them because I ain't.
But from them, I am.
Well, can I talk now? Can I talk? I sat here and I listened to you, and now it's my turn to talk, and I would appreciate it if you would not interrupt me. You know, I've sat in this seat for 28 years, and I won't. Your yard has gotten more complaints.
It's not true.
Then it's true. I know what people have told me. Why don't you do something with that corner lot over there with a red car with the flat tires? Everybody else in the city gets citations, but you didn't get any. So you might not be happy. You might be happy with the building department. I'm not happy with the building department and what they've done for 28 years. And I'm glad that they finally got around to making you clean up your front yard. I went past it over the weekend. It looks a heck of a lot better than it's ever looked in 28 years.
It wasn't the front yard, sir, it was the side. And the gentleman, I asked him, because I figured I was being targeted by you, there's only been one complaint. He pulled up the record. So I don't know what complaints you're getting, sir, because the supervisor said there was only one.
Well,
and one and several do not
The
sound the same.
supervisor doesn't sit in this seat. He doesn't hear from the community. I've heard from the community, and I've passed that on to the building department a number of times that something needs to be done with
Well, they
your
should've
property.
cited it. They should have cited us, and they did.
They should have cited you. You got that right. They should have cited you a number of times. Let's
Anyhow, that
Now,
was
let-
my concern, you all. Thank you.
let's talk. I'm not through talking, but that's fine. You can hear in your seat. You're the one that brought up these partisan politics. I knocked on your door years ago, complete stranger. You come to the door, we had a nice conversation. I figured, I think I like this lady. I think she can add something to the Park and Recreation Commission. I didn't run out to my car and get my registered voters list to see if it's R or D. I could care less. I looked at the person. And that was good enough for you and I for over 20 years. That's all it took. You do your job, I reappointed you. I'm a Republican, and I appointed a Democrat to a job that got paid for over 20 years. Never one time did you say, I can't take that check because that's a Republican's responsible for me getting that. No, I'm going to take that check irregardless. But then when the Republican comes knocking at the door and said, Carmen, I've always had a sign here, can I have a sign? No, you wouldn't even give me a yes or no. You told one of the council people's spouses that, yeah, I'm a executive director or whatever, precinct executive at the Democratic Party, so I couldn't have a Republican sign in the yard. Oh, so you want to draw the line there, but you don't want to draw the line when I said, Carmen, would you like to serve on the BZA? Would you like to serve on the Park and Recreation Commission 2 or 3 times? No, that was okay. So you're the one that wants to draw the line on partisan politics, not me. When I make my appointments, I don't look at what their voting records are. I could care less. I look, can that person do the job? And I would defy you to look at my appointments and tell me that I haven't followed that rule. Another thing, you call me, or when I returned your call, it was, what can I do to change the law? Don't shake your head. That's exactly what you said. You wanted me. I said, talk to Carl. Half a dozen times I told you to talk to Carl. Well, what am I supposed to do if that doesn't work? Can I come back to you? I says, no. What can I do to get the law changed? I'm to change the laws.
You're telling these people I did not ask you to change no laws. Be truthful. I did not ask you that. When you told me he would be back Tuesday, I said, okay. That's all I said, and you went on.
Yeah, you don't want me to change the law, and I think
I know you can't change them. I'm not stupid.
I've never fixed a ticket or a citation in 28 years, and I'm not about to start now.
So there was no need for you to fix a ticket. So be truthful, sir. Come correct when you come. Be truthful. I did not ask you to change.
All right.
I know you can't.
Still in communications from the audience. Second call.
My name is Kevin Huff, I live in Oak Ridge Drive. Ms. McNair, thank you for bringing up the letter that I sent to council. I just have to say, I wish I was shocked that I only got 3 out of 9 responses. 3 people responded to me, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Jacobs, and Mr. Hawkins responded to me through various means, through text messages, through Facebook messages, through emails. No one else responded to me. You know, we all sit here and say we want the best for Springdale, but no one wants to sit down and talk about the issues. We want to say that we don't know what each other wants, but we don't want to have those discussions. I'm open to having discussions if any of you are. Shoot me a text, email, Facebook message, smoke signal, whatever you need. Come by my house, you have my address, you have my phone number.
I'm happy to meet with anyone who wants to have a better Springdale. Thank you.
Student communications, second call. Third and final call, we'll close communications from the audience. At this point, Mr. Hawkins, will go to you for an update on legislation still in development.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you review your internal memorandum, item number 1 was addressed with Resolution R-14, 2023, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies for 2024. That passed with 6 affirmative votes. Added to the agenda is ordinance number 39, 2023, an ordinance accepting a proposal through Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing and authorizing the mayor and clerk of council, finance director, to enter into an agreement with Vogelpol Fire Equipment in the amount of $1,860,560 for the purchase of a 2026 E1 aerial platform Quint and declaring an emergency, and that passed with a 6-0 vote.
All right, staying on Mr. Hawkins, a recap of legislative items requested for next council meeting.
There's nothing requested unless there's anything from council or the administration.
Administration, solid. Okay, we've got item 16 before us.
Move to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
Council is adjourned.